I wanted to share this with you. I saw on the Huffington Post. I don't know if anyone had seen it. There was a 98-year-old man who began baking pies after his wife passed away. And I just want to read a little bit of this to you. When Leo Kellner lost his wife after 72 years of marriage, he felt empty, which is how many parents feel when they don't have their children in their lives. So what did he do? He started to bake. The 98-year-old who lives in Nebraska baked 144 apple pies the year after his wife passed away in 2012. After that, he began making cakes as well. He said, after I lost my wife, I did not know what to do. So I said, well, I can bake. So I started baking, Kellner said. Everything I do it with love. That's my secret ingredient. It's love. Kellner told his local paper that he learned to bake from watching his mother. He enjoys making chocolate, yellow, and angel food cake, and says he's even made a wedding cake, though he would prefer not to. And I'm not sure the meaning of that. Kellner also has a special sugar-free pie. Everything he makes, he gives away for free. He said, his pastor said, and they're pretty darn good pies. Every time we have a funeral here, said the pastor, Kellner brings a pie over. And every time one of us goes over there, he gives us one. He's always been that way. Says Kellner, some look inward, I look outward. If you say hi to me, I'll probably give you a pie. As for Kellner, baking helps him keep busy and puts a smile on people's faces. And he says, I try to help everybody I can. It makes me feel happy, and God left me here for a reason. And this is why I think he did. So it's interesting that we're all together to really, embrace the opportunities that families need from us, and also to be hosted in a church that has as its goal is to give hope, as Pastor Rob had said. When I divorced, I did want to kill myself because the loss of my children. And fortunately, I found a stand-up writing comedy course. And I performed stand-up comedy for 3 years. And I was with a group of people who are also like-minded as myself, who performed stand-up comedy. And we opened for shows, in fact, in Hartford at the Holiday Inn. And the Holiday Inn, about 15, 18, almost 20 years ago, had major hitters from New York City. And we warmed up for them at the Holiday Inn there. And that was my pie. And I think what might be interesting, if I were teaching a class, well, I'm teaching, of course this, but if I were teaching a literature class or a poetry class or a spiritual class, I would say, reach for the pie, partner, and write about it. So I wanted to share that with you. We can get inspiration, and we need inspiration in much of our lives. And I think that it's really critical for us to do that. And I hope that you enjoyed the meditation with the pastor and going across the street to really have a delightful, I found it a delightful experience. What I want to do now is I want to introduce you to some more of the supervised visitation process. I want you to get your feet wet, know what to expect. I also want to introduce you to the the requirements that we have with Meredith. So Meredith, we're running about, and we have the time built in, which is great. So we're running about 20 minutes late from the schedule with Meredith, and but I hope she'll forgive me.
That does it.
Abuse allegations, sexual abuse, physical abuse,
Well, where are we?
some very serious emotional abuse.
Ah, here we go.
So understandably, we would want the children to be safe
Now,
in a safe environment, supervised.
as I,
Everybody, I want to talk about supervised
rats.
visitation. Okay, now,
I did it again. Okay. This is another case from a parent's perspective, and I like this because she explains what her circumstances are, what her expectation is, and what her fear is, and she wants to share that, I think, with others who may be facing the same.
everybody, I want to talk about supervised visitation. Okay, now, we know that with child abuse allegations, there could be some very serious child abuse allegations. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, some very serious emotional abuse. So understandably, we would want the children to be safe, in a safe environment, supervised, to make sure that no harm comes to them, while, you know, they still get the opportunity to see their parents just in case Child Protective Services is wrong. They'll never admit it. Okay, so one would think, definitely, the supervised visitations, I mean, if a person doesn't get that many supervised visitations, most of the time I'm thinking, okay, obviously that parent did something really bad, right? Yeah, so I get 1 hour visits with my kids once a week at the DHS office supervised. And the reason for this is because when we went into the well child check, the doctor had asked my daughter if we had any food in the house. She said yes.
Food.
And the doctor asked her what kind of food she liked. Of course, my daughter, you know, she liked her vegetables, good things. From there, you know, the doctor didn't ask my boys anything. We'd been going, first my son had sore throat, we went one day, and then the next day, one child's well child check, and the next day, 2 more kids' well child check. So, you know, 3 days in a row. And of these 3 days, only one day at one appointment, she asked one child a few questions. And from that alone, she felt my daughter was coached. And so that's why I have to have limited, supervised visitation with my kids that are used to being with me all week long. My 5-year-old is used to being with me 24/7. And now they don't get to see me except for 1 hour a week. And I'm thinking, I really don't trust these agencies for the reasonings behind what they're doing with parents anymore. Because, you know, I mean, like I said, when I heard before about parents having supervised visitation, I thought, oh, there's a clue that the parent did something really bad. But it'll come out. And it'll all show, and I'm saving all the records and all the documentation. I have a 1 hour limited supervised visitation with my kids at their office because a doctor felt my daughter was coached about the kind of foods she eats. That's it.
Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Now, you know, it probably brings to mind a thought, which is, that can't be true. What she's telling us, that can't be true. That's not the whole story. And I don't recall what state this was in, but you know what? Almost anything is believable. And what we have to do when we're with clients is not to believe. It's to hear, it's to listen, but also to observe and to help the process so that they can go forward. It's not up to us to decide if there should be visitation continuing or not. It's up to the court. And so that's why what Meredith is going to review with you now. Meredith, now, you want to wait a little bit? Yep, okay. So we're gonna come back to visitation, but the intake is really critical. I think that's part of Meredith's presentation for you. And but again, not being judgmental, remaining neutral is oftentimes very difficult. But that's that should be like our modus operandi: to be neutral and to be impartial, and to help. And Meredith, did you have a thumb drive you wanted me to put in for you? Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry. This is Japan. All three.
Okay, can you all find your weekly activity reports?
If you don't have something, just let us know.
Yeah. Okay, so, you like getting paid for the work that you do? This is how you do it. Okay, so our week runs from Monday to Sunday, as you can see here in red, to remind you. Please put your name at the top. I don't like getting paperwork that I don't know who it belongs to. It makes my job harder.
Yeah.
So the way that this works is that you technically have 3 things that you'll be doing as a monitor. Therapist, you're a little different. You're only going to be doing therapeutic supervised visitation. So you'll just be putting TSVN for therapeutic supervised visitation. But for monitors, you'll see that there is an I, an SVN, and a T. What's the T for?
Therapy.
Therapy. Why is that on there? Intake or, okay, so monitor child exchange isn't even on here. I should look into that.
All right, we're going to adapt it.
You are going to be responsible for 3 different things. Doing the intake with the client, that's the first step that you take when you're meeting your client, your new client family. So if you do an intake, you want to write the day that you did it, intake here, and then the client name here, the time, how long it took. Typically I deal with all the income and the payment issues, so that this is really not not an issue for you. And then just, if it's an intake, it's $90, and I'll also let you know when you first get the client that what their hourly rate will be. So then you just put that in there. If their hourly rate is $50 an hour and they have a 3-hour session, what do you put here?
150.
Yes, thank you. Okay, I don't even know what order to do it. Because when you have, we only accept credit card for payments for anything that they schedule. And it's paid through me. So when I get a call from a client and they're going to pay for a service, whether it's an intake, a monitor child exchange, or a supervised visitation, I will let you know that they have paid. I will text you last name in the case and how much they paid, so that you know that they've paid for the entire time that you have scheduled. And if it's different, let me know. So you just put my name, or just put a check in this box. Can you all see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Just put a check in that box, knowing that, so let me know that you knew that they had paid, and that I actually let you know. Okay? So, that's an intake. If you do a supervised visitation like we've been talking about, you put the date that it happened, SVN for supervised visitation. There's a little key, is it a key or down here at the bottom to let you know what the letters stand for. Again, put the client last name, the time that the visitation started, how long it lasted, that, how much they owed, and that we did receive payment for that. The other service that you'll be doing is a monitor child exchange, and we talked about that a little bit. Just put child exchange in the type of service box. Again, the date, child exchange, the parents' last names, and when the exchange happened. And again, the session fee for that service goes here, and that it was prepaid goes here.
What is the session fee for an exchange?
We'll go over that. Will we go over that?
Oh.
But I can let you know that it's $39 one way, but if they arrange to do an exchange like on Friday after school and then Sunday afternoon, that's a dual exchange or like a round trip exchange, and that's $69. So they save some money, doing the exchange that way. But anything over like a weekend, it has to be considered two. If they do an exchange on Monday only, the kid goes from one parent to the other parent every Monday, that's a one-way trip. And that's $39. So, in the order that things happen, I like to, put down, starting on the Monday and finishing on the Sunday, all the things that I did. So if you have an intake and a visitation and a visitation and an intake and a child exchange, just keep going down the line. And if you need 2 pages, good on you. You keep them busy. Okay. Does anyone have any questions about this? Yeah.
What did you say about 150 was for what?
The session fee due, don't put the hourly rate. Calculate it, the hourly rate times how long the visit was to get the whole entire amount that they owed or they paid. So if it's $50 an hour and they had a 3-hour session, put $150, not $50, because then I get confused. I have to look up their chart, their file, and then I have to try and figure out what and it just slows me down.
Is an hour or fraction, or is entire hour?
We do half hours.
Okay.
So you can do 1.5 hours,
Oh,
2.5 hours,
1.5.
whatever, but we don't get any lower than that because that's just crazy.
Okay.
And
Is there a different fee for different families, or is there like a?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
It's about-
For the visit, the intakes are always $90, straight across the board for everyone. But the hourly rate for visitation is on a sliding scale based on the household income of whoever is deemed responsible for paying.
Okay.
So when I first take the call from an incoming client, I collect their court order or their joint stipulation agreement and proof of income. So I will determine what the hourly rate is, and when I email you all the information that you need, the contact information, the court order, the joint stipulation agreement, so that you can look it up and you know what to follow, what directions to follow. I will send you, in that email, and their hourly rate is $65, paid by dad, paid by mom, or split 50-50, that kind of thing.
Okay.
And if I don't, just poke me.
Okay, thank you.
Do we ever collect money, or you always collect money?
No, we only accept credit card over the phone to me.
So we don't have to deal with
No.
that, you deal.
Unless there's like an extenuating circumstance where, it's a last minute thing and they didn't get paid, you can make arrangements with people. We don't want to turn people away just because, they don't have the money at the time. You can, but if it becomes a pattern, then that's a problem. But if it's just like this one time, go ahead and and then take the check or take the cash, and then just call me, and I'll let you know what to do. I don't know what we'll do. I'll let you know.
So if the case is split 50-50, is that like still $55 times by 2?
It's whatever the hourly rate is
So
divided by 2.
Okay. So will I still write for like 2 people or just one?
Yes, put the total amount. So if it's
She doesn't put the split.
If it's 150, they
Just-
put one.
yeah, if they're splitting, if it's $50 an hour split, you should still put the 150 because that's the total amount that they paid,
Okay.
that we received. You don't have to break it down into like, oh, he paid this much and she paid that much.
Fine, sure.
The question is about the 15 minutes that you get there ahead of the person who's first to arrive, and the 15 minutes that you spend afterwards with the
That's
other
considered
person.
part of the visitation.
Okay, so that's included in the hours of visitation, even though the
Well,
visitation is
that's
listed
a
differently.
That's a policy decision that we have to make.
Okay.
Okay, anyone else? No? Okay, wonderful. How do I get out of this?
X at the top,
Top right.
top right.
It's not a max.
How do I get out of
And then
this?
go down to the
Minimize.
document, next one over, next icon to the left, that's it. Good. Oh, no, you have to, sorry, you have to go to the file, third from the left, that's it. And then there you go.
Okay, so,
Thank you.
find your field report. This is a very important form because this details how the visits are going, and more often than not, clients will call me to get copies of these reports for their court dates. So they're very important that they're filled out properly and that it's legible because the judge will be looking at these.
Can you do these on the computer, or do
You can do it on the computer. That's not a problem. It is actually fill-outable. If I click on it, maybe not. Okay, I thought it was.
We do have a
Double
version
click.
that is fillable,
Double
Meredith,
click.
you're right.
That's not.
Nope.
There you go.
No, that's how you raise the name.
Huh.
So it's protected. Doesn't
I don't
count.
know. I don't know how to use
You
this
can get
computer.
an
I
app,
left
you can
mine
actually get
home.
an app. where you
An
can-
app for it, okay.
It's
It's
called
not now?
Adobe Signature,
Okay.
and you can just do it, save your.
There is a way that you can fill it out on the computer. So, please, case name, your name. This doesn't even have the sign-in part. Where did I get this?
It's up top.
Yes, it does.
It's up top on the right.
It won't
Oh,
go
I
anywhere.
see.
You
No,
You got it, it's right
no, but it doesn't say it. I don't know where I got this from.
there.
Anyway.
An old one.
The right version has parent sign in.
okay.
Oh, it's there?
Yeah, it's on this.
Okay, it's on yours, it's just not on mine. That's nice. Thank you for that. So
Yeah,
you
but
see where it
usually
says
it's
parent
here.
sign in? We have actually run into trouble because the parents were not signing in and signing out, and they would say, prove it. Prove that I was there. So we started to make them prove it. They sign in, they can just put their initials and the date, not the date, the time. What does it say? Sign it out.
Just sign it out.
They can initial it and put the time, and then again initial it and put the time when they leave. So they sign in when they first get there. So dad is having the visits, and he comes 10 to 15 minutes before the actual visit time starts. So if it starts at 3 o'clock, dad gets there at 2:45 and he signs in. Then when you go out to the car to pick up the children, mom signs in. And then the reverse, when they leave, mom signs out and then dad signs out. The date of the visit, the time of the visit, location.
That's both parents at each visit.
Both parents at each visit need to sign in and sign out. Yep. Okay. So this is, pretty easy to understand. If they're late, if they get into an argument in the parking lot, it's arranged so that the parents will not see each other. The visiting parent shows up, like I said, 15 minutes before, and then mom or the drop-off parent arrives with the children and will text you, hey, we're here. You ask dad to stay wherever it is that you're at the location inside. Go outside, pick up the children, have mom sign in, bring the children back inside for the visit. When the visit is over, mom texts you again, I'm here, because she has to leave the property. I'm doing this all backwards. She has to leave the property, okay? And then when mom's back, she texts you, you say, okay, time to clean up. You bring the children outside, drop them off with mom, and then watch mom leave. Go back inside. 10 minutes later, dad can leave. That way, there's no arguing in the parking lot. There's no drama. They don't even see each other. Okay?
When does the mom sign out?
Oh, when you bring the kids back
So
outside.
right before she drives away?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So just put little check marks next to the emotions or, the things that you witnessed, the parent or the child. You can read over these yourself. If you witnessed any of these things.
It might be helpful, it might be helpful for people to read them now, to get familiar with what they're saying, and if they had any question on what
Yeah.
their statement might be.
The location of the visit, is that something you work out together, or is that someplace
Mhm.
magic?
But when you're in the planning stages of the visit, you'll call each parent separately and, maybe call the visiting parent and say, do you have any suggestions of where you'd like to go for this visit? And then you have to double check with the custodial parent. And if that's okay with the custodial parent, then you can go ahead and make the arrangements at that location. If it's a park or a playground or, one of the indoor bouncy houses or trampoline centers or whatever it's going to be. The custodial parent does have a say in where the visit is going to take place, but we have the final say. The Toby Center visitation monitors have the final say. So if you're doing a case and every suggestion you come up with, the custodial parent says no, and it doesn't seem to be any logical reason other than she's just trying to mess up dad's visit or he's trying to mess up mom's visit, then we'll step in and say, we're going to have it here this week because it's in the best interest of the child to have a visitation with the visiting parent that is fun and enjoyable and not just in a room, with toys that are, not what they want to do. So we do have the final say, but the custodial parent does get a veto, but not in the end. I don't know how else. I wish I got some sleep last night. Okay, so did anyone have any questions about any of the checkoff boxes?
I have a question. It's not really about the checkoff box, but in that video, one of the videos that we saw, it looked like the parent was recording like the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
If we are, okay, so they don't have the right to record it.
No.
Okay, but if we're meeting in a public place, technically, wouldn't they legally have the right to record it if they wanted to?
Again, well, they can make videos as long as the custodial parent agrees. So, and we'll get to that in the intake. The intake is basically our list of rules and regulations that both parents, the custodial and the non-custodial parent, have to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of those rules is that there's no cell phones being used during the visitation, there's no pictures, and there's no video, unless the custodial parent says it's okay.
Okay.
So in that case, then they can. But otherwise, no.
Okay.
What's the reason for that?
The clearinghouse on supervised visitation says no.
Why?
Mark, why?
I'll give you the number for the clearinghouse.
You can ask them.
Because the focus needs to be on the child and the parent interaction, no distractions. Now, sometimes you have grandparents, that may not have any access to the child. There could be another sibling that's in another location, or might be some other relatives. And so having some kind of software on the phone like FaceTime or WhatsApp or something like that, only if the custodial parent were permitted, or if there's a court order. So the purpose for no cell phones, no videos, number one, any video can be misused, put on Facebook, could be doctored, could be used for malicious intent. And the cell phone, it has a video option, and again, it's distracting. I mean, how many times you go out to eat, or you notice people, that seem to be together, each one is on their phone. Is that helping the relationship? Probably not helping it. And when a parent is only allocated a certain period of time to see their child, they need to focus on the child. And
Candy Crush on their phone or text friends.
So what if there's a situation where one of the kids' birthday is that day, they want to get pictures, there's still, no?
Only with the permission of the other parent and or a court order.
Okay, so if the other parent says no, what if it's intention, like they're just,
No, we can't.
Okay.
They have to go to court and get a court order.
Okay.
Again, malicious intent. We don't know the full history of the family, in spite of any records we might be seeing, and we don't know what their intention is in using of that material. So
Okay.
we don't permit it. That's why the clearinghouse doesn't permit it.
Okay.
Yeah. And thank you for asking, Judy. Whew, I gotta drive home with her. Can you imagine the questions I'm gonna get going home? Judy, I love you and I really appreciate your questions. They're very important. They're very important. These are not subtle questions. These subjects are not subtle. These are really critical. We're talking about human interactions. But today, you've got the access to the social networks, and they can be very dangerous. My Facebook was hacked 2 days ago. Did you notice that, Judy? Yeah, my Facebook was hacked, and I was getting messages from like 6 o'clock in the morning from people that were up, or actually earlier. I had to change my password. I don't know if you noticed that, Meredith. Yeah. So, but people have malicious intent.
Can I say something really, really super quick?
Yeah.
About the pulling the phones out and the phone going off, pulling the phones out, taking pictures and stuff like that. They're gonna wanna do it, especially in the first visit. They're gonna just do it. And don't be afraid to say, I'm sorry, your cell phone's not permitted on this visitation, no pictures, this or that. And we'll check with the custodial parent, you know, and see about next time. Don't be afraid of that, because they'll be like doing it and, you know, they will act like they don't even hear you. You just have to let them know.
In that case, do you tell them you have to delete it?
I just tell them they leave their cell phones in the car. That's what I say in the first few visits, unless I know different.
Question, if the parent allows the other parent to take videos, do we have to document and have them sign something?
That's an excellent question.
Because if they go to court and says, no, I never gave her permission, you can dispute that.
I think that's an excellent question, and I'm for most things I want a paper trail, and I think you brought up an excellent point, and Meredith, I think we need a paper trail, and so and if they emailed that permission, that's fine.
Yeah. But if it's verbal, verbal's not going to hold up in court.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you. And by the way, I want everyone to know that, you know, we've been evolving, but we're also, because we were probably the dominant provider of visitation now in much of Florida, which is very exciting. And there's a lot of work that we have to do and can do, but we don't hold the. I mean, everything that we have is not in stone. We are very happy to, you know, accept your recommendations, especially as you have more field experience, and adapt our record keeping, our policy making, because families change, laws change, and so does behavior. So we are open to that. So what Kyle recommended is really an excellent idea, and we had not required that before. And I think that's excellent. And I think that if we all think of the use of email as documenting permission, they use emails in court, so it's perfect. So Kyle, thank you very much. Very important comment.
So is this not in the intake?
No.
Since it's in the intake, they
No,
both have to
we asked for permission. It is in the intake, but it's not saying that a written permission is required. And I think that needs to be.
Yeah.
And so, you know, one time we'll update that, but meantime, you can tell them, please put it in writing. Send an email, it's fine. Even a text is admissible. Great.
If the custodial parent is the grandmother or grandfather, is it still the same?
Yes, it is, because they're in charge of the child. They have, in effect, the foster parent rights.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I have been violating that.
Oh, good. We need a black sheep. I thought I was a black sheep. I have a twin.
I wanted to know, is it possible for the agency as a whole to, as part of the intake process, to establish ground rules for both parents as well as the worker?
We do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And make sure we give it to them as part of their packet?
Oh, it is, and you will
Okay.
see it.
Okay.
Yes, but those rules can be upgraded, like amended, with Kyle's terrific suggestion now.
Depending on what comes up, right?
Exactly.
And the reason why I say is because not a lot of people are going to be too happy when you say put away your cell phone or you can't have a cell phone.
Well, we've been operating
So
that way.
is
They
there a
need
way
to
that
do
that can actually be put in?
It
Oh, it is.
It
It
is.
is.
So you just simply
Yeah.
point out that it's in the intake agreement, page 5, paragraph 4,
Mhm.
that you signed as the client and dated that it says no cell phone use during visitations. You just refer them to
You'll see
the
the reg.
intake agreement, which they will have a copy of,
And any changes you feel that should be made. let us
or
know.
additions. I want to back paddle for a minute, because I forgot to mention your field notes. You don't have a handout for this. When you go,
I have copy in my,
okay, so Mark will address this, but when you do a visitation, you bring a notepad and a pen or your computer if you feel more comfortable doing it that way, and you take field notes. These are extensive notes outlining everything that happened in the visit. You know, if the children are old enough to hold a conversation and they say something that you think is particularly important, put it in your field notes. Information about what takes place at the visitation in your field notes, because then what you're going to do is later that day or at the end of the week, you're going to take those field notes and you're going to put them into this field report. You're going to plug it in. So, you know, what I do is I bring a copy of this to the visitation and I fill it out with the case name, the participants, the date of the visit, the time of the visit, the location, so I remember what, you know, where it was, my name. I have the parents sign in. Oh, there it is. It popped up. Finally worked. I have the parents sign in and out on this sheet. And, you know, I observe the visitation I'm doing now is with a 15-month-old. So there's not a lot of conversation going on, but I marked down, you know, that he's always so curious and active, and, you know, he's always talkative. So I put talkative there, and I go through and I click, you know, I check off. It's not going to let me do it. I check off the things that, you know, are relevant. I leave this blank. I refer back to my field notes later that day, and I fill this in with 4 or 5 of the most important things that happened. You know, the baby said, "I love you, Mom," or, you know, the parent told the kid they were stupid. Whatever it is, you know, the 5 most important things that happened that day in a, you know, quick, to the point. That's it. So does anyone have any questions? I'm sure, because I'm making a botchery of this.
Do visits
Yes.
ever take place at a private home?
We try not to. Again, extenuating circumstances. We had a visiting mother who had just had a baby and got a note from the doctor saying she was on bed rest. And yes, we did, I think it was like 1 or 2 visits in the home before she got custody of the other child back. So, you know, if the circumstances are right, yeah, we will, but typically not.
Yeah.
Okay? Please, please, please put the date of the visit, not the date that you completed the report, because there is a place up here where it says, you know, the date that you did the report. If you want to hold off and do it at the end of do all your reports at the end of the week, that's fine. Put the date you reported, you completed the report, but in case the pages ever get separated when you send them to me, the way that I can put them back together is by looking down here at the date on the second page and then, you know, correspond it with the date on the first page. Otherwise, I have to ask you to send it to me again, because if it comes in all gobbledygook, I can't make heads or tails of it. You don't want to have to do that. Okay?
Do you happen to have a sample of one, like a really excellent report that you could
No.
give to us?
No,
I mean,
I didn't bring. Do you
don't
have any
know.
field reports, Mark?
I might.
I was thinking,
You have some?
that's exactly what I was thinking.
Do you have some filled out field reports?
It'd be nice just to see a sample of what you think would be a good one.
Yeah, just, keep your writing legible, because I have to read it, the judge has to read it, the parent has to read it, the court has to read it, the lawyers, everyone's gonna be looking at this thing, so
DCF.
DCF, your best handwriting. Anything else?
And again, you can always do it on the computer.
Yep.
Which is something I'm going to.
How would you do that if you need the parents sign in
If I need
there?
the signature in the corner, though, how are you gonna?
You can, if you want to do it on the computer, I can send you a separate sign-in sheet that you have the parents sign, and it's like 3 or 4, repeated sections that the parents can sign in. But you have to then scan that in and email me that as well. No, that's for monitored child exchange, actually.
Yeah, if you use
You
that
say
app.
electronic signature?
You don't have to scan it if you use that app. There's an app because I work for so many different companies, so I always have to fill out forms, and I was getting irritated by it.
Can we accept an electronic signature on this?
It's called Adobe Signature, and you just download.
Adobe sign, yeah.
Yeah, and it just saves your autograph on there, and you just click it and just put it on.
Well, was referring to the parents' signature.
Yeah.
Well, they
You
can
can
sign it on the
use-
phone.
They,
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, there's an app.
I don't think we're ready for
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Unless you're
It's
gonna
called
come and
Adobe
teach us how to
Signature.
do it. I can't. I don't know how to do that.
The sign now?
Yeah, just download the app, and you just
What's
put it into the app,
What's
and
it
you can
called? Just
sign
sign now?
Adobe Signature.
Oh, yeah. It costs about $199.
No, it's free.
Is it
No,
free?
it's
The
only
one
free
I
for a
got.
few months.
And there's one called
The one I got is free.
Who's your carrier?
I have T-Mobile.
Yeah, mine I had to pay for a year. And then
Thank you.
I couldn't use it.
Thank you, yeah.
No problem.
Okay.
Feel free to jump in with good info.
So, like we just said, for each of the 3 things that you're going to be doing, the supervised visitation, the monitored child exchange, and the intakes, there's coordinating paperwork to go with everything. Just love my paperwork. So, if you do a supervised visitation, you have a field report. If you do an intake, you have the intake form. And if you do a monitored child exchange, you have the sign-in sheet.
Can you repeat that again?
For the supervised visitation, you have the field report. For the monitored child exchange, you have the parent sign-in sheet. And for an intake, you have the intake form. I'm probably gonna end up revising this because I think it's kind of,
Busy.
I don't like that it's custodial and non-custodial, because a lot of people have 50-50 custody and there is no custodial parent. And I don't know why there's like drop off and pick up. Because I think it should be.
Well, in the child exchange, the child is dropped off and then the child is picked up. We used to use that in Washington, drop off and pick up.
Yeah, but I can make it better.
That's okay. You're welcome to make it better.
I can make it
Don't
better.
make it too much better, it'll hurt my feelings.
Oh. Okay, so, and if anything happened during the exchange, typically parents hate each other at this point. And so they, again, we try and keep the parents away from each other so that there are no incidences. So I've done child exchanges in Orlando at a Panera Bread. Mom is dropping off the kids, so dad comes first. No, wait, mom comes first. I can't remember. Mom comes first. So mom comes first.
First
I
comes
meet,
love, then comes marriage.
I meet mom outside. We go to the back because there's a door back here that can't be opened from the outside. it can only be opened from the inside, right? So I meet mom, we go to the back. She has a quick exit that dad can't come in just in case. It won't open from the outside. I go outside, I wait for dad. Dad shows up, he drops off the kids. You know, I have him sign in. I have mom sign in first. I have dad sign in. And then I say, okay, say bye to your dad. And we watch dad go. When dad has driven away, take the kids inside. We all hang out for a couple of minutes. Make sure dad hasn't looped back around or for whatever, you know, he's gone. And then mom and the kids go out the back. And then there's no parent confrontation, yes. You look like you have a question.
No, I'm just saying, like, what if there's no, like, there's just one way in, one way out?
Then, you know, just wait the 10 minutes
Okay.
and go out the front door.
Okay.
I just happen to like that location in Orlando.
And if I may, I would let the parent who's receiving the child leave first. Let them go first, and then the other parent wait and then leave. This
No,
way you
because
know that
then
the
they're
parent
both
with
in the
child is
building at
not
the
gonna be
same
following.
time.
No.
What?
No, they're not. No, at the same time.
You're saying with the,
No.
because
The parent who has the child,
who's taking custody of the child,
yeah,
picking up.
they should leave first.
How?
Because you're taking the child out to the parent while the parent's inside. Correct?
Whoever,
No, she said she takes the child inside with the parent.
Then the
And then
parent that
the-
dropped off needs to leave. I don't even let him get, you know.
I wouldn't
Right.
trust that.
Right.
Always let the parent with the child leave
All right,
first.
so we'll work on that.
That's
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I do, because then they're gone, and then the parent that's the non-custodial.
Well,
is
that's how
still-
it's done for the visitations.
Yeah, and the
The-
monitoring should be the same way.
The pickup parent leaves first, and so you think it should be the
The
same
parent
way?
who is going to have the, very simply,
Sorry.
hang on, the parent who has the child, whether it's the drop-off or the pickup parent, they leave first.
Right.
So there's no chance that the other parent's gonna follow
But I
them.
don't even like let Gilbert, like, you know, get out of the car. Pull up, stay in the car, sign this, get the kids out. Gilbert drives away.
You can't be assured they're not gonna wait somewhere and follow the
But
parent.
it's not our responsibility
Well,
after
it is to a degree.
follow and harass, you know, honking and, you know, giving them the finger out, you know. But once they're off, you know, our property, it's no longer our responsibility, but giving them that 10 minutes between letting the visiting parent, you know, letting the custodial parent go and holding on to the visiting parent for 10 minutes, lets them make a bunch of turns and get out of Dodge before we release the visiting parent, and then, you know, hopefully they won't be able to follow.
Right.
Okay,
So,
I'm just making sure, because I want to make sure I'm doing it correctly. So when the parent comes to drop the kids off, you guys have a clipboard, they got to fill out information, which they fill.
Just a signature.
Just a signature. Okay, then you remove the kids from the vehicle and take them to the building, right? And then that parent just drops off until
Right.
it's time for them to pick the kids back up.
Yes.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Our dad's already away, the non-custodial is already.
Okay. Alright.
The parent,
This
whoever
has
the parent is with the child,
contradicted.
they leave first, always.
This has contradicted
Yeah.
what I have been doing, because originally, the custodial parent dropped the kid off, and then the other person came,
Oh.
and then left before they came back to pick up the kids. However, this gave no time to talk to the parent that you're supposed to be supervising
Yes.
about the
That's
content
why-
and about the follow-up and
Yes.
the feedback. So then I decided today that I'd do it the opposite way, because I used to do it that way.
mhm.
But then somehow or other, I ended up with this because of time frame and people needing to get away and having to do, you know, other things or go to work or whatever.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure now, because this contradicts what I decided I would go back to doing, which would give me time for the visiting supervised parent to get there first, to be there, and then the other people bring the kid later.
Yep. Yeah,
But that's what we just said.
The
We
parent-
just contradicted that by saying the opposite.
No, the parent with the child leaves first.
Yeah, so.
No.
And if you
Then
have,
you
if
don't
you
have
have,
time to
if,
talk
if,
to the parent
if you have a
that's
super,
visiting
well, if you have
about
a
anything.
No, the parent, pardon me, in a supervised visitation, the parent who does not live with the child, the away parent, they will come first.
No, you just said the opposite.
No, I did not.
He's talking about leaving.
No,
I
he's,
don't-
He was talking about leaving first.
no, it's when you come in.
Okay, so the person that you're supervising has to get there first.
Correct,
Yes.
Doesn't have kid with them.
correct.
Right.
The other one comes later.
Drops
and
off the
get
child.
kid and bring them in.
Yeah.
And then they stay together until the end of the visit, which then, who stays and who leaves?
The parent that is picking up the child leaves first.
Right.
Okay, so that's like,
Then you have 10
Alternating.
minutes to sit with the visiting parent and say, I
right.
think that went really well. How do you
That's what
feel
you
about
need to do
that?
at the end.
How do you
Right.
feel about
And
when
you can-
Johnny
So
said
it's
this?
the opposite of having it one way, where the person that you're supervising comes early and leaves late.
Correct.
Okay. It's the
So you don't want
opposite
to
of that.
apply,
Comes early, stays at the end. No.
Yeah.
Comes
early,
early,
stays late,
the custodial parent comes late
leaves early.
and leaves early. Okay. Because you don't have to worry about that. They
That's
just have to
right.
bring the child.
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly,
All right, good.
exactly.
And they shouldn't stay around.
Right.
You
Okay.
shouldn't stay around.
Okay, that's a problem. Okay.
okay? So any questions on the sign-in sheet? I'm going to be revising it anyway, because I think this is a bit complicated, because the drop-off, pickup location is the same, the time is the same, nothing, you know, you're literally doing this in 20 minutes. So I don't feel like we need to have all this, you know, gobbledygook. I can simplify it a lot. Okay?
So that's just for the monitored child exchange?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And the monitor always earns an hourly fee for each exchange. You're not paid on a half hour, you're paid for the hour, for an hour. Just want you to know that.
Okay, so find your intake. I don't know what it
Do we have an
says.
intake form?
Yep. It just says intake for supervised visitation in the top right corner. Yeah. And that's not even double page, which is, you can do it double-sided if you want.
Secretary.
Yeah.
And all these forms, when you're in the field and you're doing your field training, they're going to be explained to you by the monitor who you'll be shadowing.
So basically, this form outlines all of our rules and regulations that both the custodial and the visiting parent have to follow. This is where it says no phones.
Can we go through this narrative? Yeah.
All of it?
Well, or, you know, certainly the highlights of the intake.
If people want to go around the tables and each read one of the paragraphs, I think that would be good, because I don't know if I can read the whole
Sure.
thing.
You know,
And I'll make-
what you're going to do is you're going to sit with the client, and in fact, you want to role play with me, Meredith?
Because there's gonna be two.
Yeah, do you
Okay.
want to,
This takes a very long time.
No, we're not going to take a long time. We're just going to go client.
Do it with the client.
Oh, what? Sure, it does.
Besides the.
Correct.
who's going to be the parent and who's going to be the monitor?
I'll be the parent.
Okay.
You just
So
circle
make
home
our
and
hook,
away.
so you have a copy, parent has a copy.
I'll explain that at the end. I'll explain how you're gonna get this. So, or I'll explain it now. What I do when I do an intake is I print out 2 copies of this. I hand one to the parent and I have one for myself. I have the parent sign. You see how it's got a red X? You can print it out in color. I just printed it out in black and white to save money. because you can write all over these, take notes all over these if you want. But everywhere that the parent needs to sign, and I'll just scroll down real quick, is going to be a red X. Okay, so their client name, signature. I think that's helpful because you
Nice
do
job,
not
Mary.
want to miss a signature, because basically what they're signing here is they're signing a contract that says they are going to follow these rules. And so if you miss a signature, that will come back to bite us, because they'll say, oh, but I didn't agree to that, I didn't sign it. So if they refuse to sign it, then we have an issue. Then we have an issue.
Then we call you.
Huh? Then you call you, yeah, then you call me.
10 minutes you have a problem.
Yeah.
Get it on the phone. Hey, this gentleman doesn't want to sign, what are we gonna do now?
The interview, the intake is over, and until they agree to sign it, then they cannot have any visits. There will be no visits, but,
I don't know why I have to have this. I mean, the court's really pulling my leg. I mean,
it's unfortunate your situation, but we're gonna get through it, and I'll help you with this, and we'll get this done, and then move on to the visitations as soon as we can, okay? Are you
All right.
a home or away parent?
you know, I
said that you have to go.
don't see my kid. You know that.
So, away, and I'm gonna put your name here at the top. Now, you can do this two ways, because some people do have an attitude and they don't want you to read it to them. You can say, okay, go ahead and read it and let me know if you have any questions, but try and follow along with where they're at, because there are key things that you want to absolutely bring to their attention. You know, so when you get to those points, if you see that they're reading, or if they're doing like this, you really make them read it. Don't let them just blow through it. Although, you know, does it matter? If they blow through it and still sign it, it's their own problem.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if they're gonna have an attitude and they're just gonna be like, yeah, whatever, okay, and they sign, but they're not reading it, that's their problem. They're signing a legally binding document, and so that's their own problem. You can't do anything about how they're gonna present themselves and what their attitude is going to be.
Yeah, but anyway, we can drive them to the point that we want to make clear.
Yes.
You're doing it like that, it's okay with me, but I want you to pay attention to this
Yes.
part of the contract.
So,
And I want you
exactly.
to pay attention to this one, take the time to read it.
And
please.
as you're doing it, you know, when you get home, look it over. Pick out the things that are important. Maybe, are we going to go over the whole thing right now?
I go over
point
the
out-
highlights with because
Okay.
And when we have our concluding class, you know, I'll have sample field report for you, and we'll have rules and regulations. There we have them here also, but well, let's just go over the highlights for this class because of other
Okay.
content we do need to cover.
What do you think of the highlights?
Depends on the best that I'm going to be now. I have to sit with her and do an intake. You know?
Okay, so would you like to read it for yourself?
Oh, Jesus. Why don't you just tell me what I need to know, okay?
What do I need to, I don't know what the highlights are. I mean, like, a lot of it is just information for them to know. You know, like the settings, how it's arranged.
For example, the part that is the cell phone part. That's
Okay.
very important.
You know, it goes
Because I don't
through
want to have that problem.
the types of populations that we serve. All questions, service coordination, all questions concerning communication about scheduling of regular visits and or scheduling makeup visits should be done through your counsel, applicable case manager, or may be done by calling the Toby Center. If you need to cancel a visit, okay, here's the thing. Canceling a visit. This is another one of those situations where the custodial parent might try and interfere by repeatedly canceling visits at the last minute to try and screw up the visiting parent's visitation schedule. In that case, if they do cancel after the 24-hour period, they have 24 hours before 24 hours they cancel, they're all good. the child's sick, you know, the visit's tomorrow, but the child's running a fever, we're gonna cancel just to make, you know, in case the child really, you know, blossoms into a flu. But if it's 3 hours before the visit, nope.
Or the night before, 8 o'clock at night.
Yep. A text at like 10 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night, no. They have to then, the canceling parent then has to pay. And so, and it's typically like the custodial parent that tries to pull stuff at the last minute. Unless, you know, the visiting parent's dad dies. And it has to be, yeah, you know, it's within reason.
Finding this information.
It's in the intake.
Where?
But I always
On the second
say,
page.
If it's a question in your mind, call, because you never know. I mean, you've been talking over with Meredith or Dr. Mark,
Mhm.
because it could be, okay, you tell Dr. Mark the situation, okay, so Dr. Mark makes that and document that. I mean, I would.
Document everything.
Oh, everything, yeah.
Yeah,
Document
because-
everything. If, you know, if you get a text or a phone call, document it. Because it's all relative and it's all important, because if the court wants all of our records, the better your records, the better idea of what's going on in the case the court has. They will maybe subpoena you to come testify.